Al Jazeera, the Qatar-based news outlet, they decided to run a segment. They were criticizing Captain Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso. And I sat there, I was watching this video. Family, I thought to myself, the audacity, the absolute unprecedented audacity of a criminal syndicate like Al Jazeera to come out thinking they have the moral justification to speak on issues of governance, issues of geopolitics, issues of integrity, issues of democracy. You see, there is a reason why I call Al Jazeera a criminal syndicate. Because if certain people that use Al Jazeera as a criminal syndicate can see Al Jazeera enter uncharted waters and they can eliminate 12 Al Jazeera news correspondents, then you know there is something wrong with Al Jazeera. Then you know that certain entities on the global stage, they don't see Al Jazeera reporters as news correspondents. They see them as secret service agents. They see them as intelligence agents. They see them as deep states, destabilization operatives. Israel eliminated 12 Al Jazeera correspondents. Now, I said something earlier. Al Jazeera is a Qatar-based news outlet that is trying to tell you that they know everything going on in Burkina Faso. So first of all, look at the distance between the two countries, right? It's Qatar based. They did not tell you that it's Burkinabe based. And from the facts on the ground, the Western media, including Al Jazeera, that happens to be a part of this destabilization criminal syndicate of, this so-called news outlets, they don't have any correspondent on the ground in Burkina Faso. Before I get started, this is going to be a very, I don't come here with maybe bias or propaganda. Ladies and gentlemen, everything I'm going to say today about Al Jazeera is fact. So for those who still listen to Al Jazeera, you need to protect your mental health, because these people, they are not news outlets. They are criminals. They are murderers. I'm telling you what they are, and I'm going to prove it to you. If I tell you that you kill this guy, if we get to the court, you were captured, you killed the guy. Do you know in some cases, if the whole thing comes back to me and my communication security is being compromised, and they discover that I told you to kill the guy, do you know that I'm also a killer? So this is how I begin with my exposing of this criminal syndicate called Al Jazeera. Africa needs to change their doctrine when it comes to addressing these nefarious elements. Because here is the thing, ladies and gentlemen. Ask anybody who actually lives in Burkina Faso. You can ask them. I have a couple Nigerians that live there that give me good information. Under Traoré's leadership, the country of Burkina Faso has seen remarkable improvements. Food self-sufficiency is up in Burkina Faso. They are not eating GMO food. Their DNA is not getting compromised. So you have to know that first. Traoré did not permit GMO mosquitoes in his country. Security operations have intensified dramatically. You can go to our Telegram channel. There's a big victory that have just been won today. I can't count the number of enemy motorcycles in that place. But today is not for security information sharing. That will come later. But I'm just telling you to mark some of the advancements in Burkina Faso. Corruption has reduced to a negligible level. The national movement towards reclamation of what belongs to them has produced something that looks like, honing your own identity and your own resources. For example, a national gold refinery has been built in Burkina Faso. That will be the first. So all these years of democracy that they had France in Burkina Faso had none of this. How many national refineries does Nigeria have? The leader of ECOWAS, the country with the highest GDP on the planet, right? Keep deceiving yourselves. Now, apart from that, a new airport has been constructed. We're not talking about the stadiums, right? These are just some. So, these are verifiable achievements. So, it's not like you can search for all this information. Now, the general situation has improved drastically. But Al Jazeera, sitting comfortably in air-conditioned studio in Doha, think they can talk about Burkina Faso. With zero bureaus on the ground in the Sahel, they have nobody. Most of the time, the source of their information are the terrorists, the JNIM. So, what does a JNIM operatives that only know how to eliminate civilians and shout Allahu Akbar, what do they know about development? People that destroy infrastructure. For the interests of this same syndicates we are talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, they have zero credibility. And to me, I have decided to educate a lot of people so that they know who Al Jazeera is. You see, for a news agency that has no representative in Ouagadougou, they have no correspondent in Bamako, not even in Niamey, yet somehow they magically produce detailed reports about governance failures, places that they never set foot to. They tell you that there is an internal power struggle in Burkina Faso. Fabrications upon fabrications, outright fabrication. So the thing is, whose interest are they speaking for? When you don't have the information and you continue to speak, then you are intentionally lying because you don't have the facts. And you don't have the original source. And you continue to lie. It means that you are trying to build a narrative because of your global. Now, remember before this episode of Al Jazeera and some other, BBC English, Al Arabiya, they wrote to some of the big platforms, social media platforms, to prioritize their news outlets. So most of the time, they are the ones that will be in your face so that they can spill their lies to you. Now, let me take you behind the curtain and show you exactly who Al Jazeera really is. Because once you understand their funding structure, you will understand why nothing they say about independent African leaders should ever be taken seriously. And permit me to say this. Al Jazeera, Human Rights Watch, United Nations, whatever agency, they are all linked to the United States. Yes. This is what the United States deep states know how to do. Destroy nation. The George Soros of the world, they only know how to steal resources from people, sponsor terrorism, the Bretton Woods. They only know how to create disaster and chaos, nothing else. And part of their syndicate of actualizing this nefarious objective, Al Jazeera is one of them. Direct funding from Qatari government. The ruling Al-Thani family that everybody hates in Qatar, they have invested billions of dollars. I'm talking about billions into building up Al Jazeera. According to the Council of Foreign Relations, the network is primarily funded by Qatar state. So it is not an independent journalist. Their perspective is not independent. It's not honest opinion. It is a state propaganda sponsored newsroom. Now, I want you to understand something. Every mainstream platform like Al Jazeera, Al Arabiya, and all of those things, they project the interest of their deep states. So they project the interest of Qatari deep states. Now, Qatar as a country, is subservient to the Zionists. I don't know if you communicate. Qatar is subservient to the Zionists. Qatar is subservient to the United States. So, I want to say this at this point. It is one deep state serving the agenda and the, objectives of another deep state as the strata goes, and they spill out their lies through this mainstream outlets. That's why you see when Al Jazeera tell a lie, BBC will say the same thing. Al Arabiya will say the same thing. They have no credibility. Now, their funding is from Qatari state. That's one. So they are funded, and anybody that funds you control you. The Qatar Investment Authority, the QIA, this is a Qatar sovereign wealth fund currently sitting on an estimated $600 billion in assets. This fund is deeply intertwined with Western capitalist interests. In 2015 alone, the QIA pledged to invest $45 billion in the United States. They have sunk more than $8 billion in maintaining Al Udeid air base for the United States. Military operation. The military operation that was put in place to destabilize the entire Middle East. So the same base, by the way, launching air strikes every day across the Middle East, Al Jazeera money and the money of Western militarism, it also comes from the same fountain, the US, deep state. Now, and why are they doing this? It's to make sure the lifeline of the unipolar order, which France is a component of, they want to make sure they keep that unipolar order intact with lies, with murder, with anything they can. So it is not enough for you to say you are an independent journalist from Africa, and when they tell lies, you debunk. No, it's not. We are not on that time again. If you fire to this place, we would correct you, then we'll fire back at you. Advertising revenue for Western cooperation. Fortune magazine reported that Al Jazeera English was launched with hundreds of millions of dollars in financing, and it sustained itself through advertising partnership with global Western brands. These are the same corporations that profit from instability in Africa. The same corporation that benefits when United Nations remains dependent, divided, and weak. I'm talking about they said United African Nation. Subscription fee and commercial distribution deals with Western cable network. So is Al Jazeera a Western outlet just carrying a Middle Eastern name? Is UAE, United Arab Emirates, right now as we speak, is it an Arab Islamic this thing, or is it more of a Western Zionist entity right now? You can actually tell us what you think. Now, you see, they get their money from Western funding. Now, according to information, the funding comes in from Europe, from America, from New Zealand, from Germany, from France. So why are these countries why are they paying Al Jazeera? So according to information, all this money flows back to Doha, and the money comes out through their lies, like this one that they just made about Captain Ibrahim Traoré. So you see, ladies and gentlemen, when Al Jazeera opens its mouth to criticize Captain Ibrahim Traoré, a man who has dared to kick out Western forces like the French forces that fund Al Jazeera, who dares to claim the sovereignty when it comes to gold, when it comes to political sovereignty, when it comes to military sovereignty, everything. He claimed it from the imperialists. Whereas some African nations, they continue to remain slaves. All right? That's why you don't see when last did you see Al Jazeera making terrible reports about any other African state, even if what is going on there is terrible? They don't. Al Jazeera is a terrible, it's a criminal network. And to be honest with you, the only reason why they are doing all of this is because Burkina Faso says no to Western domination. And you must ask yourself, on whose behalf is Al Jazeera really speaking? Is it the interest of Qatar? Is it the interest of Burkina Faso? Or is it the interest of the United States? Now, let me take you back to 2011 in Libya. Now, first of all, have you seen the French video? I have a title for you, for those of you that think that when the French forces were in Mali, for those people that said, okay, some French soldiers died, I want you to go and watch this video. The name of the channel is called Investigations. The question I want to ask a lot of people, why is it that recently France have found a new, appetite to post videos of their military campaign in Mali? But they brought the video to my FYP. The title of the video is Mali, the dangerous hunt for a jihadist leader. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how many minutes. I think the video is about 50 minutes. I sat down and I was watching. I want to see the blood stain of either the terrorists or the French soldiers. Like, you have to show us some scratch. Because the essence of the video is to prove to Africans that the Malians are ungrateful. Ladies and gentlemen, they gave some analysis, and that's the best thing they know how to do. Now, when they got to the perimeter where anything is possible, like they continue to, do all this kabuki theater, but when they got to that point where they knew that, yes, the enemy might emerge at any point in time, they told the Malian forces to move forward. Go and watch this video. The title is Mali, the dangerous hunt for a jihadist leader. The Malian soldiers were told to move forward. They were at the front. The French forces were at the back. They were standing inside and behind armored truck. The Malian soldiers were told to move forward defenseless. Are these the type of idiots you want in your country? And after the whole propaganda video, they said the mission failed because they could not find the jihadist leaders. 50 minutes, they did nothing. At the beginning of the video, these people, they were cooking inside the camp. They were eating meat. They were enjoying. The French did not come to Mali to fight terrorism. They did not come to Mali to fight terrorism. I was angry when I saw that video. Have you not seen the Russian videos? You've seen the close combat operation. Gone are the days where anybody will come and lie to anybody here. Enough is enough. The French forces are not bulletproof. When they attacked the Diori Amani International Air Base, the French soldier that emerged was eliminated almost within, I don't think that guy made it past 5 minutes. Some of the terrorists were still standing. Huh? So this whole propaganda, this whole narrative, when they make movies, they tell you the villain is Syria, the villain is Iran, the villain is North Korea, the villain is Russia, the enemy is China. There is this place, the capital of Lebanon, the terrorists are in Beirut. Is a way of selling an idea that does not exist to you. To see them, so that people can start seeing them as the savior of the world. When you listen to most of them talk, they will say we are the good guys and they are supposed to be the bad guys. Very terrible and false narrative. The world has caught up, we've actually caught up with them. And this is why they are now coming with AI. It's positive and it's very, very negative too. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let us go back to Al Jazeera. And I'm going to start with the Al Jazeera mission in Libya in 2011. You remember what happened, family? Al Jazeera did not just cover the NATO bombing of Libya. They provided a propaganda architecture that made it possible, day after day, the Arabic channel broadcasts rebel narrative. What narrative? have they projected in Burkina Faso, in Mali, and in Niger? Is it not the narrative of the terrorists? Now, you should know that these are terrorist organizations. They are not news outlets. That was why when the Israelis spotted 12 Al Jazeera news correspondents, they eliminated the entire 12. I'm a villain. There's no mercy in this house. Now, to be honest with you, exaggerated casualty figures from Al Jazeera during this time of this destabilization. And they painted Gaddafi as a monster. They said he was eating humans at a point. They said he must be removed at any cost. They gave airtime to defectors. They amplified every rumor and they deliberately suppressed the voices of Libyans who were asking, what happens next? That is Al Jazeera, the criminal network. Let me read you something, ladies and gentlemen. A 2013 analysis published by the World Time concluded that Al Jazeera coverage of Libya crossed the line from journalism into advocacy. They effectively issued a death sentence through media. A cleric appeared on Al Jazeera and issued a fatwa saying it was permissible to kill Gaddafi. This is not news reporting. This is complicity in assassination. And the result? To justify the NATO operation in Libya, Gaddafi was dragged through the streets and murdered. Libya descended into a failed state. Open slave market, rival militia, and chaos that continue to this day. Al Jazeera arms are stained with Libyan blood, and they have never ever, for once, issued an apology or acknowledged their role in that destruction. The son of Gaddafi that was recently killed, go and listen, just hit YouTube and type it with context that statement of the son of Gaddafi about Al Jazeera, Al Arabiya, BBC is going to come out. These are not media outlets. These are part of the army of murder. Like, these are the true orcs. No matter the color they wear on their body, they are the same thing. You just have to open your nose very well. You smell them with time. Now, this is not news reporting by any standard at all. It is complicity in murder. Now, let me give you the 8 specific instances where Al Jazeera has participated in the murderous atrocity of Western powers against independent states. Libya was number 1. The propaganda arm of NATO-led overthrow. That was Al Jazeera of Muammar Gaddafi. The Arabic channel ran round the clock incitement and broadcasting on verified rebel claims, while systematically ignoring the Libyan perspective. And today, Libya is a destroyed nation by a long shot. Again, in 2011 to 2013 in Syria, Al Jazeera coverage of the Syrian conflict was explicitly aligned with Qatari foreign policy of harming and funding anti-Assad rebel. According to a 2013 Pew Research study, Al Jazeera devoted more coverage to the debate over US military intervention in Syria than any other topic. Listen to that word there. They devoted more coverage to the debate over US military intervention in Syria than any other topic. And now the same US who always want to use this nefarious element to justify their very dirty action, they have met their Waterloo in Iran. Good for them. Multiple Al Jazeera staff resigned, citing that the network had degenerated into a propagandist agent serving Qatar's agenda. If it serves Qatar's agenda, it serves the United States agenda. 2003 Iraq. During the US invasion of Iraq, Al Jazeera found itself in an impossible position. The United States Central Command, CENTCOM, was operating out of Qatar's Al Udeid Air Base, the very base Qatar spent $8 billion to build and maintain for American forces. Why Al Jazeera cameras showed Iraqi civilian casualties, Iraqi civilian deaths. That was what Al Jazeera was showing. Now, the Qatari government was simultaneously hosting the military infrastructure that was causing those casualties. This is not journalism, ladies and gentlemen. This is a geopolitical balancing act dressed up as a news agency. Now, 4. Egypt in 2013. When the military removed Mohamed Morsi from power, Al Jazeera coverage was so blatantly biased towards the Muslim Brotherhood that 22 of their own staff members in Egypt resigned in protest. They cited biased coverage of Egyptian power redistribution favoring the Muslim Brotherhood. Egyptian authorities subsequently arrested Al Jazeera journalists. So, Burkina Faso. Let Al Jazeera come. Now, the one that went to Mali and moved closer to that filling station and lied. If I was in any position of authority in a state like Mali, I'll put him in prison straight away. And they will not see him for a very long time. Now, they were arrested in Egypt and they were sentenced to from 7 to 10 years imprisonment for spreading false narrative. Al Jazeera had become a political instrument, not a news organization. In Bahrain, here is where the mask truly slid off. When Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates sent troops to crush pro-democracy protests in Bahrain, Al Jazeera went almost completely silent. Why? Because Bahrain is a Gulf Cooperation Council ally of Qatar. They covered Libya uprising with revolutionary fervor. They covered Syria uprising with urgent moral clarity, but Bahrain, no, they did not. So that is the double standard of a criminal organization like Al Jazeera. From 2015 to 2022 in Yemen, Qatar was initially part of the Saudi-led coalition that bombed Yemen into a humanitarian catastrophe. During this period, Al Jazeera coverage of Yemen was noticeably constrained compared to its coverage of the conflict where Qatar had no direct involvement. Tens of thousands of civilians were killed. Al Jazeera was only covering the image of the dead Yemeni civilians. The worst humanitarian crisis and Al Jazeera outrage was curiously mooted. 2017, the Gulf crisis. 4 Arab nations, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Egypt, and Bahrain, issued a 13-point list of demand to end the blockade of Qatar. The first demand, shut down Al Jazeera. That was their first demand. Shut down Al Jazeera. Only a thief knows a thief. These are not Western nations. These are Qatar Arab neighborhoods who had seen firsthand how Al Jazeera operates as a weapon, not as a news agency of Qatar state's policy and foreign interests. They accused the network of inciting political violence and spreading disinformation across the region. So I'm not the first to say Al Jazeera is a no-go area for any reasonable human being in 2026. It's already a documented trend. I dare any Al Jazeera correspondent to come out and debunk everything I'm saying. 2023 to 2025, the Sahel. Al Jazeera has systematically framed legitimate government of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger as military juntas. You know them very well. Why downplaying the achievements? They have no bureaus in the AES country, yet they produce detailed reports about governance failures. Yet they are not on the ground in any capacity. They report on Sahelian security challenges through a lens that consistently validates Western and Gulf intervention narratives. That's why you see some puppet African leaders. They will say, Africa cannot govern itself, and this family is the essence of neocolonialism. Now let's talk about the court cases of Al Jazeera. In 2014, 3 Al Jazeera journalists were convicted in Egypt and sentenced to 7 to 10 years imprisonment for lies. The court specifically cited spreading false news in 2015. An Egyptian court ruling detailed how Al Jazeera had aired fabricated report in 2025. Just last year, a Syrian-American Jewish named Ibrahim Amra filed a $1 million defamation lawsuit against Al Jazeera in New York. Al Jazeera has falsely claimed he was paid. Now, they lied again. That means they agreed to what he said. Listen again. A Syrian-American Jewish man named Abraham Hamran filed a $1 million defamation lawsuit against Al Jazeera in New York. Al Jazeera lost the case. Al Jazeera had falsely claimed. So everything about this organization is orc. Al Jazeera had falsely claimed he was paid by the Israeli government. Al Jazeera claimed he was paid by the Israeli government. Is that to say that Al Jazeera has some, interest? Is this, are they saying that there is, their interests align in some ways and sometimes the interests don't align? Now, the lawsuits called the claim categorically false and the label per se under New York law. That means they were able to verify, and when it comes to verification, if they want to work, they can work. They discovered that Al Jazeera lied. They lied twice in a single case. A very shameless organization. Al Jazeera has also documented spreading false rumor about Sweden, leading Swedish media outlet to publish detailed rebuttal titled 5 examples of when Al Jazeera spread false information about Sweden. And now we come to the ultimate irony. Ladies and gentlemen, the most devastating and most telling. Israel has killed more than 270 journalists in Gaza since October 7, 2023. Now, let me say something right now. Do you know why Israel had to kill 270 journalists? Let me tell you something. If I use journalists to destabilize other countries, when I see journalists, how do you think I'll feel? If I use journalists to destabilize a place and set up the narrative, set up the footprint, the blueprint for an intervention that is going to destabilize, that's going to knock out that country from anything called stability. And I know that my first tool to set up that perfect moment of intervention, which is diabolic in most time, and I know that the people I use that can do that job best are journalists. What do you think I will do with journalists when I have confrontation right in front of me? I will eliminate every single journalist there. Israel neutralized 270 journalists. Israel did not do it by mistake. They did it intentionally. I just want you to know. I witnessed the last one they eliminated. The reason why Israel did it was because Israel was scared of the journalists. Because they know what journalists do. They don't do journalism. They frame narrative. Most especially, and all these journalists most of them are from mainstream media. So Israel know what they are all about. Eliminated every one of them. 12 of those journalists, 12, they were Al Jazeera's own journalists. Ismail Al-Gunal, Anas Al-Sharif, killed in a targeted airstrike on the 10th, clearly marked as media. The Israeli Air Force knew that right there, the tent, there was a tent, they wrote journalists there. So it was intentional. Israel did not do it by mistake. All right? That was in August 2025. Shireen Abu Akleh, a veteran Al Jazeera correspondent. Do you know, let me translate that title for you. When they say you are a veteran Al Jazeera correspondent, you are a veteran criminal. There is no two way to it. The fact that they called him a veteran, that means the war in Libya, the war in Iraq, all this destabilization crisis, these are like some of their generals. All right? Was shot in the head by an Israeli sniper in May 2022. Now listen, a lot of people might think the sniper could not identify the threat properly, right? While wearing a blue flak jacket, clearly marked press. So the sniper knew that was a journalist. So why? Let's be very, very clear. Let's be clear here. Why will a sniper look at the journalist and be like, man, I got to pick you out? Most especially Al Jazeera journalists. And don't be deceived. The Israelis use the same people too. But if they notice these people want to get out of line and face them, they will eliminate them. Do you know why? It is because they know what they are for. They know they don't give information. They destabilize people with information. They lie. They disinform. They misinform. They tumble. They destroy. Calling them liar is an understatement. Now, the Committee to Protect Journalists confirmed this. Even the Israeli Defense Forces admitted there was a high possibility their troops shot her. And what happened? Nothing. Complete impunity. Nothing happened. It took them out. So let me ask you this question. If Israel can slaughter a journalist in the open, including Al Jazeera's own journalist, and face absolutely no consequence, what does that tell us about the media ecosystem, these outlets that operate from within? It tells us that even Al Jazeera itself is expendable to Western imperial order when it steps out of line. Do you get what I said? They use them. But when they step out of line, they get eaten up. It tells us that the same forces that back Israeli occupation are the same forces that determine which African leaders get favorable coverage and which of them get smeared. It tells you that news outlets like Al Jazeera, Al Arabiya, and the entire Gulf media apparatus are not independent truth tellers. They are instruments of global power structures that views African as a threat. Now, there is a group of Africans. Man, that narrative is not for today. I have too many informations right now, but there are some of this information, the context they will apply will be in some of our, some other information that we will still have to give. Al Jazeera criticism of Ibrahim Traoré in Burkina Faso is not journalism. It is a coordinated attack on the president of Burkina Faso, a revolutionary leader who has dared to pursue full sovereignty for his people, who has not permitted GMO foods in his country, who has dared to expel French foreign military forces, expelled every foreign military occupying influence in his country, who has dared to say that Burkina Faso's gold belonged to Burkina Faso. And for that reason, they want to build a narrative to delegitimize him. If they don't create your legitimacy, how can they delegitimize you? If we say he is a leader, then who dares call him something else when we, the people, say he is a leader? But here's the thing. The people of Burkina Faso can see the improvement with their own eyes. That's why shameless journalists like Segi Daniel, as old as he is, I mean, that man should be 3 times my age, but one of the most foolish Africans I've seen. He tells lies, but he has never for once been in the 3 alliance of Sahel states. He will tell you they've not seen Omari Yabre. Oh, he has been locked up. Papa Pafe Gamu, he has been summoned by Omari Yabre. Segi Daniel you can counter my narrative. If you think I'm not following everything you are saying, you can counter this narrative now that I'm saying. And after you tell these lies, they will debunk the lie. You will come back with another lie with your old age. I mean, it's just so shameless. But I know there are some people, as far as the money is concerned, their age does not matter. Now, Burkina Faso has done a lot. The people of Burkina Faso, they are happy with the governance of Ibrahim Traoré, like we can see in his visitation to different regions of the country. You can feel the difference. No amount of studio-produced propaganda from the West and from wherever corners of this world, or Doha, one of the most unproductive spheres of the planet. Where do they get their gold from? From Sudan. What is going on in Sudan? So they cannot erase the reality of Burkina Faso on the ground. They cannot take away the BCID. So you can see that most of the information they have, they only get it from the JNIM. So what does the JNIM do? And as for the rest of us in Africa watching, I want you to see the complicity, the disinformation, and the criminality of entities, shameless entities like Al Jazeera. Now, I wonder how French journalists who crossed the desert of Mauritania into Mali, I wondered how they were able to stand in proximity to the JNIM and the FLA. I think God gave these people a different type of nose. Have you seen, like, I have heard from a military personnel that when they unalive JNIMs, that you cannot even, like, most of the time, when you have a large amount of them knocked out, there are many militaries that try to cremate the body. They say you dare not cremate the body because of the funk. It's so the smell is so terrible. You can see them on the ground. That means they are malnourished, they are terrible, and all of that. But the West can give them weapon. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. It's a lie. You guys wear shams. You say you are the group for support of Islam and Muslim. You wear shams. And ladies and gentlemen, listen to me good. The best a sham can go is for AK-47. The best your sham can take you is with AK-47, not a drone, not an AA, not with an RPG, close impact, and not with some high caliber GPMGs. You are going to disappear. Because I see a lot of JNIM, they don't wear bulletproofs and they will be moving forward. They attacked Mali today. Mali thoroughly defeated these guys. I mean, man, kudos to the Malian armed forces. If you watch that video, now look, we are showing videos. Where are the videos of the French military adventure in Mali? See, I don't want to say some things, but if the French know, they should provide close combat footage. Don't blow nothing. You are a mainstream, you won't go through any community guideline. Show videos. Show your workings. The last time, Operation Tango Tango, what did they do with it on YouTube? They said, crowdfunding or whatever they want. They used that Operation Tango Tango. They say U.S. Special Forces that they fought in Niger, in the village of Tango Tango. What happened in that battle? Did you see how the jihadists like this is, look, it's in movies. It's not in reality. It's in movies. If you don't believe in your military, it is your cup of tea. They only win in movies. They don't win in reality. They don't. Tell me how many wars they've won. Go and watch the ending part of that video. Those JNI were stepping over everybody there. As at that time. Why did they leave Nigeria? Why did they just suddenly announce that their mission is over in Nigeria? Have you seen some of the footage that we released on Telegram channel of Nigerian forces fighting Boko Haram? They were less than 10 meters away from each other. 10! 10 meters? Yes. You will never have this, oh no, have you done this? Have you done that? We have to do, it's a lie. You ate a lot of meat in your barracks. You took a lot of vehicles. You did a lot of things. You took your night vision gear. Nothing. You only made movies. Look at the footage of the Malian camp in sand this morning. Jesus. Oh. How did that get you? So, these lies must stop. We are not going to permit the lies. And look, I'm out of the league of those journalists that is reactional. And I want all African, bloggers and journalists and independent outlets to understand this. If you are being reactional, then you are one step behind. Be proactive. Pick them out before they pick you. Their reputation is nothing to write them about. It will delegitimize you, just the way you are trying to delegitimize honest people. This world cannot continue to be led and governed by extremely dishonest disgraceful element that you people normally back most of the time. You understand? To fulfill your stupid agendas. And that is what we don't stand for. A man like me, I will never stand for it. I would never, ever stand for it. So, families, I want to thank you for coming. I did not know I was going to do this live stream. I've been taking care of myself, but it is of ultimate importance that I weighed in on this Al Jazeera propaganda information. And I dare Al Jazeera to debunk what I've said. All the facts, all the documented facts I raised today. I dare Al Jazeera. Did you not lie about the $1 million lawsuit? Were you not guilty? Just try. Most of the time when I still used to create videos and I use materials, you people will you will jump almost immediately, right? To go and hit it with copyright claim and all of that. I know that French agency, they are always after my videos back then, but I don't do that again. I do live stream. Now I come with documented facts, debunk. And those foolish French propaganda videos that you said you had a good military campaign in Mali, debunk. Show us your close combat operation. And let's see if you are really what you say you are. Enough of all this abuse and discrediting of African military. Those guys are phenomenal. And this is what I think. And this is what I know. Enough of puppeteering. Enough of hiding. Enough of being a slave and wanting to live forever. Forever does not exist. Either today, tomorrow, or some days, everybody is going to leave this place. Stand for the truth. Africans need to grow enough courage to stand for the truth. And that is why they will always try to support people like Paul Biya. He has died more than 60 times. Maybe the last one will be the 61 time. I don't know if he's still alive. So, families, I'll see you later today by 12 a.m. in the midnight Nigerian time. So, thank you and God bless you. By design, I want to appreciate you for your donation. I really appreciate it. Thank you, everyone. And to the Malian and Burkinabe brothers watching me, salute and much respect. You guys are doing a phenomenal job. Don't bother yourself with the booze of these non-entities. They have no credibility. They have no moral justification to step up and try to act like what they are not. So this is a kabuki theater. So what does kabuki theater mean? So kabuki theater is this entertaining. So a lot of people ask me why this kabuki theater that you use now. The reason why I use kabuki theater in certain contexts is that, you know, kabuki theater is a theater that a man is the actor, but he is dressed as a woman. It is after the show you will realize that, oh, so you are actually a man and you are pretending to be a woman, right? So we call it kabuki theater because if you look at Al Jazeera, they try to make it look as if they are presenting you with a fact, but at the end of the day, everything they are doing is lies. Gone are the days when people tell lies. This is the social media era. You can't go scot-free. We will